What it do? Dream Team. It's your boy D Neil back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with the story of Only Fools and Horses, Season 1, Episode 2, Deals and Misdemeanours. Before we dive in, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. What we got?
Stick of money in me pocket. I'll fetch the suitcase from the van. Cause if you want the lessons but you don't ask questions, then brother, I'm your man. Cause we're tired, why do...
Yeah, I was watching that.
Only Fools and Horses is one of Britain's most loved shows on TV.
Lovely jubbly.
64 episodes were made between 1981 and 2003.
I just wish the freaking...
And it's still...
I just wish the freaking editing... I mean, I just wish the quality was better. I wish it could have like 720, like, or at least 480. I just wish the quality was better on this.
Watched and laughed at by millions of us every week.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to get the Dukes of Hazzard.
With every line written by just one man.
The success of Fools and Horses can be summed up with two words, and it's John Sullivan.
The story of Derek Trotter's life is the story of John Sullivan's creative genius. Pushed it.
I don't think anybody really touches John for being able to make you laugh. And being able to make you cry.
This time next year, we'll be millionaires.
Celebrating the wonderful comedy world of John Sullivan, we'll be getting the inside story on the Trotters from the horse's mouth.
I was nearly fired because of that scene.
Oi! I said to John, you can't use this. Come on, get him off!
We've also recreated some of the sets, reunited cast members, and have talked to some of the show's most famous fans.
One of the incredible things about Fools and Horses is that you could grow up watching it.
I can't remember a time before I watched Only Fools and Horses.
It's really, really, really the best.
Over the next hour, we're going to be looking into the Trotters' deals and misdemeanours.
What you do, mug Mr. T?
As well as showing you a real live sketch the Trotters performed in front of the royal family.
Is that you, Junkie?
So sit back and enjoy the definitive story of Only Fools and Horses, the show which has given us some of the most memorable moments in British comedy.
Such a good episode.
Of course, that's just comedy. I mean, it doesn't really happen in real life. It's not supposed to happen in real life. Grandad still hasn't got it right.
Why do only fools and horses work a la 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 la?
Come on, girls, the finest Spanish oranges just in from Seville.
They're fresh then.
Fresh? Fresh? They were playing castanets this morning, my darling.
Behind the dodgy deals and hokey hoodwinking in the show was invariably one man, Del Boy Trotter.
Authentic French nylon tights, all right? As worn by Sacha Distel's mum. No, seriously.
From selling trashy tat
Yeah, nothing but the best.
to doomed dealings,
Trotter's ethnic tours.
Del had an eye for turning a quick pound.
I think the exuberance for a thing, whatever it was,
the Infamax deep penetration massager.
he would be able to sell it because this is it. This is it. This time next year we're going to be millionaires. Look, you've got to follow me. Come with me.
Right, now, guess what I've got here?
No, go on.
Ta-da! Three! Ha-ha! Wigs!
Oh my
But he
God.
was so busy trying to make a success out of duff, rubbishy gear.
Yes, 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 yes. That is Del Boy to a T. Gee, but you loved him. You always loved him, and you loved his gift of the gab and his hustle.
I remember lots of them because I was the poor sap who had to go out and sell them more often than not.
Now, all this equipment here is manufactured by the one country that leads the world in alpine clothing, namely Fiji.
We used to have some wonderful lines, fire damage woks.
They are China cats that play How Much Is That Doggy in the Window?
Children, digital alarm clocks. I will tell anyone who keeps still long enough, John Sullivan was a genius.
Brought up in Balham, next door neighbour of Peckham, writer John Sullivan's early life was traditionally working class, something he shared with the man who was to become Del Boy.
That's
John
crazy.
Was working class from, say, South London, and I was brought up working class in North London. There was an awful lot of things that John and I recognised in each other. There were things like if it fell off the back of a truck, it was okay.
How would you like to buy a genuine mink coat for 50 quid? No, it's not bent. The reason why it's so cheap is because it's Ethiopian mink. Ethiopian. Yeah, I got this contact in Babylon.
Hooky gear. Hooky was like, hooking it back. It's a bit hooky. No, it's not quite straight. It's like, a bit bent, really.
What's all this other stuff doing here, anyway?
Oh, we collect things.
It's a really hard thing to do, criminality, because people strangely are touchy about it. But there's a line you cross over and I say, well, that's not funny.
I think John Sullivan knew where the line was. Del Boy's the victim of most of his own crimes, isn't he?
Facts.
He doesn't get away with anything in the end. He's not smart enough, really.
Facts.
Tell us the truth. How the police looking for these things, Trink?
Mother, not Del. And that's the truth.
Why are you hiding it under the table, then?
Well, because you never know when they're going to start looking for them, do you?
A great deal of trouble not to...
Because you never know when they're going to start looking for them, do you?
Overstep the mark.
Well, come on, girls. There's no business like throw business.
Regular market traders are known for their attention-grabbing stunts.
Every piece is burnished gold. Quality.
And rapid rattle sales patter.
Don't waste all your money on food and clothes when you can have flowers in the garden.
So Del, selling hooky gear without a licence, had to make sure he could draw a crowd.
John had very cleverly written this little ditty I used in the show to gather the audience round. I've come here to sell my wares. I haven't come to be laughed at, chaffed at, or generally mucked about. These are guaranteed to cure hardcore, softcore, and pimples on the tongue. Right, now.
And this is none of your Japanese or your German rubbish. No, sir. This is actually made in Albania.
When I first saw Only Fools and Horses coming on, the authenticity of it really hit us. When I was growing up, 10 minutes from Peckham, your front door would go, and if somebody would say, is your dad in? Because we got jeans. Tell him Val's got jeans. Because my dad could knock stuff like that out.
You know that overcoat you sold me, Dad?
Yeah.
It's got a great big lump in the back.
Of course, it's genuine camel hair, isn't it?
There was always
Oh, I love this show.
Deal going on. I mean, even when I was a kid, I remember I used to work in a place called Morgan's Food Fair, and there was a sugar shortage at one stage. So the butcher came to me and said, "Get me some sugar, I'll give you some pork chops." I said, "Fair enough." And I was not very good at that. And I was so panicking. As I went to get the sugar down, I dropped the bag, the whole bag of sugar, all of them smashed over on the floor. I got in trouble for smashing the sugar anyway, and I never got those pork chops, which I think, looking back, was sort of a Del Boy moment.
I'd rather have shingles than these knives and forks. At least you can get rid of shingles.
Come on, quick.
For Del, the streets of South London are the shop floor. The flat in Nelson Mandela House, the stockroom.
We've got 50 pirated versions of the Poseidon Adventure, all on Betamax.
Every time an episode starts of Only Fools and Horses, you know the latest scam because there are the boxes of whatever it is in the background in the living room.
Del, these dolls aren't called Barbie or Cindy. These dolls are called Lusty Linda and Erotic Escape.
You can't have dolls with names like that.
You can if you go to the right shops.
We had to doctor them slightly so they didn't look quite so rude. I seem to remember us sticking sticky tape over certain areas to make them look a little bit more pre-watershed.
Rodney, look at this. These things, they sell for 60 quid each, don't they? And these ones are self-inflating deluxe models for the more discerning weirdo.
It's just casually dropped that it's self-inflating, you know, and the line self-inflating is funny, and you laugh at it. But what you don't, because you've laughed at it, you don't realise you've taken in important information that will pay off later on.
Let me just have a look at that magazine.
That's facts. I didn't think about that at all. He makes it very good. When I watched the show, I didn't think about that at all until you saw what happened later on.
Now, just go on, hang on.
Don't give them to me!
John used to be very clever at basing a line or two here, and then what we call paying it off, like a couple of pages later.
Funny sound?
I don't know. What you looking at me for?
It's that great description that someone said of good writing. It's a combination of the surprising and the inevitable.
What's happening?
The audience get the surprise of them doing it, but also the look of them.
Oh my God.
So you get a sort of double whammy there.
Hurry up then, it's all clear.
While this scene was filmed on location in Bristol, unfortunately for Lusty Linda and Erotic Estelle, they never made it back to the BBC props department.
I got back to my hotel room to find 7 inflatable sex toys superglued to various parts of my hotel room with all the valves glued in so I couldn't deflate them. I looked out of my hotel room, looked up and down the corridor, I called the lift and I put 2 in the lift and I just left them.
Hold up. Good evening, David.
Good evening, Clayton.
Good evening, Rodney.
Good evening, Mr. Cooper.
Good evening, ladies.
Good evening.
So it's a hotel chain in Bristol. It was me. Back in the 80s. I'm so sorry about that. Blame John Sullivan. I just needed some sleep.
Here we go.
He said, I just
Coming
needed
up
some
after
sleep.
the break, we discover a lockup full of Dell's old hooky gear.
I can't believe it's the original, but you're going to tell me it is.
And a very special live performance from the Trotters in front of a very special audience.
That's so freaking dope, bro. Man, Only Fools and Horses was one of the greatest shows, bro. And watching it, I mean, it was hilarious, and I absolutely loved it, but I didn't know it was this big.
Is that you, Chunky?
Welcome back to the story of Only Fools and Horses.
Loads of bunts, Rodders, loads of bunts.
Del bought and sold some dodgy gear over the years, which kept the BBC props department busy. But once filming is over, what happens to all the Russian camcorders, trotters, crash turbans, and dolls, which sing Chinese lullabies? Ending up in the storage unit in Bucks is one likely conclusion. Chairman of the Only Fools and Horses Appreciation Society, Perry Agagenov, has been collecting props and memorabilia from the show since 1987 and has the largest collection of hockey gear in existence.
Good grief.
That's crazy.
How long does it take you to get all this stuff?
30 years in the making.
30 years in the making. Look, it's all hooky gear, isn't it?
Quality objet d'art, I prefer.
Pull the other one.
Hey.
Oh, now, look. I remember this. This is one of my favourite props. I don't know why it was my favourite. It's because it appeared in the foreground of so many shots. This is a real deal.
Yeah, that is the original cookie jar. It's one of the few things that's been in every single episode since '81.
That's crazy.
Sorry, go on, you were saying. What was you saying?
Vaguely.
That's crazy. I did see that cookie jar a lot because he was always pulling a cigar out of it. So that's dope to be able to collect all this stuff.
Remember this? Some of the stuff was so funny. The cat here that sang, "How much is that doggy in the window?"
This is North Korea's finest porcelain.
And the punchline was, well, what do you want for a £5?
This doesn't work. Typical Del Boy, doesn't work.
I've often wondered how much it hurt when it went up your nose.
I had to trick that so that you pressed it and it went like that. Oh, dude, the things we've done for comedy, I tell you.
And we appreciate it all.
How many of these bottles have you got?
I've got 4.
Oh,
and
the
I've
spring
got
water.
Oh, you've got 2. I thought you had 1.
No, I've got 2.
You were in my little book because I had 1.
No, 2, but I could only have 1 if you know, if people want to purchase it. No, there's so much fond memories that you've got collected away here. There's something that's just caught my eye, and I can't believe it's the original, but you're going to tell me it is. And it's in a frying pan where I threw it.
Say that was like Lucky Dip. What I would like to do, I'd love to just go, ta-da! There it is, look. That is going to change our lives. It won't, will it, eh?
There it is. This is the one that made them a millionaire.
The Harrison Lesser watch. There was actually 3 in the show, and that's the one that was used in the auction rooms towards the end of the episode.
That's crazy.
That was actually auctioned off early 2000s. I mean, back in the day, I was the only one really collecting all this stuff, and I was off there like a rocket on money.
So, dare I ask how much you paid for it?
It was quite reasonable at the time. I would have paid more, put it that way.
So that means no, he's not going to tell us, is he?
What exactly did it go for? Oh,
6.2 million. So that's just over 3 million each.
Well, we've had worse days.
All of this is, you know, part of Derek Trotter's style of living, wasn't it? Reject stuff that didn't work, stuff that wasn't any good, hooky gear. He did go out and work hard. He'd do anything to earn a crust, wouldn't he, for the family?
He would.
But he wasn't.
He would. He was a cold hustler.
Just dealing in hooky gear. Del had lots of fingers in lots of pies. He was always dreaming up new schemes to get rich quick.
I mean, this is beautiful, isn't it, mate? Bet you've held a few balls in here, my lady. What?
In one of the most memorable episodes in British comedy, he convinces Lord and Lady Ridgemere that the cleaning of their 2 priceless Louis XIV chandeliers couldn't be safer than in the hands of the Trotters.
Now, right then, Grandad, you pop upstairs and get the floorboards up. Now, you know what you're doing, don't you?
Don't you worry, Jill. Leave it to me.
Right. Nice craftsman.
The chandelier episode. It's true. It's a true story. Happened to John's father during the war.
Wait, Grandad, do you want a jemmy?
No, had one before we left.
John was talking to us about it in the bar, at the BBC bar, where, you know, all sorts of ideas were floated around. And we were laughing our heads off, and we said, you've got to write that as an episode. And I'll never forget it. He just put his drink down. He went, I don't think it's funny enough, is it? Is it funny enough? And we went, duh. Yes, it's funny enough.
All right, Grandad, we're ready. You can start undoing it now.
I was nearly fired because of that scene.
Oh, wow.
He's coming, girl boy.
I'm a bit of a giggler when it comes to that sort of stuff. So Ray Butt, our producer, he came up to me and he said, this chandelier costs $6,000. We've only got one, we can only afford one. If you laugh, that's the entire scene blown. If we blow the scene, the BBC won't buy the series, and that'll be down to you. If you laugh, I will fire you.
One more turn, Del.
Right. Now brace yourself, Rodney.
Dang. I know it was so hard for him not to laugh. I know, but god dang it, I wouldn't have laughed either, because I was you ain't finna fire me. I'll zip shut.
30 seconds. I'm just looking at David. Except out of the corner of my eye, just down there, is Ray, the man who said, I will fire you. I promise you I will fire you. Going like this. Until he reached into his big parka, lots of pockets, and he pulled out a handkerchief, and this is right just in my eyelid, and he stuffed it down his throat. Going right up. And so I held it together for the longest 30 seconds of my life. And then the clapper went down and they said cut. I got down the ladder and the air went blue. It's the only time I've ever shouted at a producer, because I'm not stupid. But he said, we couldn't, I had to threaten you with being fired because we would have lost the series.
All right, dear boy.
All right? What do you mean, all right? Look at it!
How could we drop it? We wasn't even holding it. We was working on that one. Well, I wish you'd have said something.
The joke that John didn't think was funny enough got us his first BAFTA.
Dang, that's insane, bro, because that was
Coming
good.
up, we reunite
Oh, shout out Granddad, one of the goats, man. Oh, that was so
David
cool.
Jason and Tessa Peake Jones in the Trotter Boudoir.
You don't marry him, do you?
You live in sin.
And find out how John Sullivan first imagined Del Boy should look.
John, to be honest, didn't want David to do it.
This is none of your Taiwan junk. This was made in Formosa.
Hard to imagine
I love those.
So David Jason as the wheeling, dealing life force we all know as Del Boy Trotter.
Right?
But when John Sullivan created Del, the physical image he envisaged was completely different to that of David Jason.
So when I said to John, how did he view Del Boy? He said that he was a typical market trader, a flat cap and a large beer belly.
John, to be honest, frankly, didn't want David to do it. Various other names were mooted. Jim Broadbent, Enratel, Ray Butt, our producer, talked him into it.
Del, how do you pronounce that fella's name on the telly? Sidney Poitier or Sidney Potter?
Personally, I pronounce it Harry Belafonte, but you two please yourselves.
Oh my God.
Once John Sullivan was convinced they'd found the right man for the role, the next stage in the development of the character was what would he wear?
I took David out shopping. We went out shopping together and found some of the priceless items that that have been immortalised on screen.
Handsome, isn't it, eh?
Items of clothing I remember getting, these shirts called Gabici shirts, Italian,
All right.
a bit sporty, a little bit leery.
No, don't you say nothing to him, you Wally. I mean, you can't trust the old Bill, can you? Look at that time when they planted 6 gas cookers in my bedroom.
I've worked in costume decades now, and the thing that always happens is there's this rather magical moment where if you hit on the right costume, something will happen to the actor's body language where you can just feel that the character is beginning to emerge.
Not bad. I reckon we...
I like that. Know what I'm saying? This is so cool. I know I said it so much in the first video of the story I reacted to, but it's so cool. It's so cool. It's so cool to get behind the scenes from the actors and hear all the stories and stuff.
We done well there.
He had this sheepskin jacket that was all made up out of sort of patchwork squares. I thought, that's perfect.
Good afternoon, madam. Can I be of any assistance?
Oh, that's awfully nice of you. Do you know anything about cars?
It just seemed to sum up his character.
I used to drive for the John Player special team.
On the Grand Prix circuit?
No, delivering fags round Lewis.
His penchant for sophisticated clobber was influenced by a real-life Cockney character who David Jason worked for as an electrician in the early 60s.
Oh,
this
wow.
guy, he was as Cockney as all get out. Derek Hockley was his name. And he talked like that, didn't he? You know what I mean? But he dressed like a lord. That camel hair coat is exactly what my image of Derek Hockley was.
Morning, Del Boy.
Bonjour, Joycey. 2 half pints of your finest low-carbohydrate beer. Thank you, John.
You want it in glasses?
Yes, please, otherwise it dribbles through your fingers.
He'd spend more money than he makes just to keep up his image.
Even when Racco moved into Nelson Mandela House, she couldn't dampen Del's inimitable style.
Oh, my God.
We reunited Tessa Pete Jones and Sir David Jason, where Raquel and Del spent their most intimate moments.
This room was Del Boy's taste.
Yes.
So,
well, you can sort of see that, can't
you? I mean, look, you've got false tiger skin, rugs. It was typical of the wonderful sense of character. Then I used to enjoy it so much. It's such good fun.
But that was part of the joy, wasn't it? And actually part of the trust of us as a team was that we could make each other laugh.
Everybody that we had in the team, not only were they just the best, but they were great people.
Yeah.
Apart from you, of course.
I don't mean that, David.
Do you know, it says here a bloke's supposed to make contact with his feminine side. Did you know that geezers had feminine sides?
Well, I've read about it. Look, I wouldn't worry. I don't think it applies to you. So was Raquel, was she the first person ever to be seen with Del Boy in this bedroom?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, yes, because she was special.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't she? Yeah.
He never made an honest woman of her.
No, well, you don't, do you? I mean, you don't marry them, do you? No. You know, it's life, isn't it? That's what we do down there in Peckham Way. You have a girlfriend.
You live in sin.
John Sullivan may not have made an honest woman out of Raquel, but he was forever developing the characters and evolving the storylines.
Yes. That scene right there killed me, bro. That scene right there, we're going through the riots and both sides. They were so cool with both sides. Everybody cleared the path for him.
Hold it! It's Del Boy!
Acutely reflecting the times in which they were set.
Wait, Alex! Tell your sister I got her video recorder.
Right, Del. I'll tell her Tuesday when I go home for tea.
Lovely jubbly.
John's writing was never stuck in Peckham halfway up a tower block with our characters just talking to each other. They all lived in the real world, and the real world was early Thatcher's Britain.
The early 80s, we were supposed to be aspirational, and I think John Sullivan sent that up. I think a lot of people took it very seriously, and we know now where it led.
You see, I wear a trendy trench coat, Gordon Gecko braces. You wear a lumberjack's coat and Gordon Bennett boots.
The
creation of the yuppie syndrome in Britain.
Oh, yes.
Dell had to be one of those.
Yes.
I'm out there on the yuppie tightrope, me.
Yes, I love that. He always wanted to be a yuppie, bro. I loved it so much.
Nerves on red alert. On the move, a mobile phone in one hand and a pot noodle in the other.
I tried to put you on a mobile phone.
Yeah, that's why Dell ended up with an earful of noodles. He loved his green raincoat and his file of facts. They were out there at the time, we saw them.
I made a killing today on olive oil. God knows what Popeye will say when he gets home.
I've got one of these mobile phones, you know. I smoke cigars and I'm ahead of the curve here. Hello. I'm actually a little bit better than all you people. Well, of course, he's no better than it, which made it very, very funny.
Look, Rodney, I want to be successful, but not for the money. I want the power and the influence that success brings.
And what will you do with all this power and influence?
Spend it.
A latest yuppie trend John Sullivan picked up on was people paying lots of hard-earned dosh for something they could get for free.
What's this? 1 minute. This is water, this, isn't it?
You want a bottle of fizzy water? Yeah, I'll have one. It's £2. Sorry, it's what? It's £2.
Is this what people are spending their money on nowadays?
Yeah. It's one of the few remaining growth industries.
Is it?
Well, of course, Dell is going to get in on that. Of course he is.
Mother Nature's son.
People pay money for water because you've put it in a bottle. Well, I can do that. I can open the tap, I can fill it up with water, sell it. It's still water. And technically, he's 100% right.
We're doing nothing illegal, are we? Ain't
Nothing illegal. We are selling public water to the public.
This water used to be public.
We are selling public water to the public.
And then Maggie, she privatised it, didn't she, eh? It now belongs to a board of directors and a load of investors. They sell it to us, we sell it on. All we're doing is repackaging it.
If people weren't buying water out of bottles, it would never have been as funny or as clever.
They could have you under the Trades Descriptions Act. You call it Peckham Spring, but it ain't from a spring.
Yeah, well, Sainsbury's, they sell runner beans, but they ain't been round a track 3 times, have they?
At the end, he managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory.
The London Borough of Peckham is tonight without water after a local reservoir was found to be contaminated by an unknown chemical.
Had Dell put as much energy into a proper job, or trying to sell things that weren't quite as dopey as he was selling them, he would have been an Alan Sugar.
Oh,
yeah, he would have been sick.
This time next week, I'll be in all the papers.
Coming up, a unique performance from Tony Angelino.
No one told us he had an impediment.
And a very rare live performance most fans won't have seen in over 30 years.
Slowly, slowly, no one will be any the wiser.
Welcome back to the story of Only Fools and Horses.
Lovely jubbly.
Dell's exuberance for dodgy deals would often see him talking his way into situations most people would avoid.
I think you look rather dashing.
I look like a human cannonball who's just crashed into a washing line.
And when he signs a contract for Raquel to sing at a nightclub, he thinks it's goodbye Peckham, hello Hollywood.
But I made it worth her while. 600 quid for one night's work ain't to be sneezed at.
She'll need a backing group.
Dell was now an agent, and he was going to make Raquel a big star, and then they go to Hollywood and live the high life, and you know that would be the end of the series.
Dad, I've never sung in a real nightclub before.
Yes, you have. What about that poster you showed us when you was top of the bill with Otis Redding at Talk of the Town London?
It was Laurie London at the Talk of the Town Reading.
Dell is a manipulator and he also wants to exploit Raquel. What's amazing is that he thinks like Quicksilver. He's so quick.
He says here they're paying you 600 quid.
You mouthy git.
So when he's about to be found out, whatever it is, he's got an answer for it before the person's even finished that sentence, questioning it.
I said that because I knew that if Raquel thought she was earning £600 for the show, that would make her even more nervous than she is now. So I decided to take the sting out of it, soften the edges, relieve the pressure by telling her it was only worth 300 quid.
Thank you.
He justifies it by thinking, well, this is a break for her. You know, this gives her a chance on stage. So it's not just being done to make money.
Del did adore Raquel. He really did. So I can sort of see it in his convoluted way of thinking that perhaps he really did believe it.
That means you'll do it for me, sweetheart.
Who will I be singing with?
Don't you worry about that. I won't put you wrong. You trust me.
I won't say it was the endearing thing about the character, but that's Del. Lovely jubbly.
Lovely jubbly. You know it makes sense.
Del needs a singing partner for Raquel, and the signature he wants on that contract more than any other is that of the singing dustman, Tony Angelino.
Thanks so much. You're going to want for audience.
Del, he'll never sign that contract.
He'll sign it, Roddy. Don't you worry, he'll sign it. Hey, it's Tony. There you are. Just wonderful performance. Really was wonderful.
Thanks.
Excuse me. So, would you mind? Would you please? Oh, thank you.
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was hilarious. Not necessarily saying that John Sullivan is the Mozart of comedy writing, but I suppose he's probably the closest we've got.
Del seals the deal, and Raquel and Tony are booked to sing at a birthday party for a well-known gangster's mother.
God damn.
When they first started, everything's going along and they're singing this song. It's okay, meaning Raquel is okay.
She's bloody good, isn't she, Rodney, eh?
Cosmic.
Then he starts to sing.
I thought that I was over you, but tell me now, what can I
do? True to form, which is John Sullivan again, he held back that very, very clever sting in the tail. No one told us he had an impediment in his speech.
Tessa P. Jones's performance was absolutely brilliant. So that look in her eye, this sort of "I told you so" sort of thing, and sort of biting her lip, even during the performance.
Say almost messed up. She's quite crying. Will have me crying.
Once we were actually filming it, you do think, oh my God, to have this chance to perform a song like this with Philip, you know, knowing it's going to get this amazing payoff is, you know, a real gift. It's, as an actor, you know, how often do you get to do that? It's great.
True to form, Derek Trotter chose the song.
This time next year, we'll be millionaires.
Ooh.
We have unearthed some precious footage from the archives and have for you a rare live performance from 1986 when the Trotters were invited by the Palace to come up west and do a bit of business in one of London's most famous theatres.
Good evening. Welcome to the 57th Royal Variety Performance.
Despite in the middle of filming their Christmas special, ironically called A Royal Flush, the team felt unable to turn down a royal command So John Sullivan quickly wrote a sketch the cast would rehearse at the end of each day's shoot.
And then we're told, well, it's going to be live outside broadcast as well, with the royal family. So no pressure there.
Well, are you sure this is Delaney's club?
Of course it is, Rodney. I ain't been here for years, but I recognise it anywhere.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. Now you've got something to talk about.
What's the variety?
Do you remember this?
Here, Albert, this is yours. Take it, will you?
Produce of Malaysia.
How about that? Come on.
For David and I, that was the scariest night ever.
I checked, they'll make sure this is the Delaney's club.
Of course it is. Look at the sign there, look. They say Delaney. He still can't.
Delaney.
The letters missing from Drury Lane. That's John Sullivan masterstroke how to link it in, and they think they're delivering some. And it is just so clever, you know.
Come on, Albert, in you go. That's it, and you, Rodney. As the first person you see, ask for the manager, right? Chunky Lewis.
Comedy name.
Chunky, you there? Where are ya? Rodney, mind that big thing, will you? You plonker!
Everybody else had come out of a long-running show.
Yeah.
So whether they were sort of dancers or singers or whatever, they were really rehearsed and thing.
The great thing about it was that everybody knew Fools at that time, and I think it was allowed to have a bit of breathing space, wasn't it?
We three Wallies were going on live with a sketch that we had never done before. I had no idea where the laughs were, except with our instinct.
Chunky! Chunky! He's not here, Rodney. There's nobody here. He's probably popped out for a doner kebab or something.
So we worked it out that if I went a bit wrong, you got to cover me, and if you went... So we had to learn everybody's part, so we all knew the whole thing back to front, just in case.
This used to be a tiny little dive of a place, didn't it, Albert?
Yeah, just a little strip joint, that's all it was.
Joyce, you can see what old Chunky's done to it, can't you? I mean, he's actually opened it up, knocked a few walls down. Yeah, spent a bit of money on the old decor. Yeah. It's what I've been trying to say to you, Rodney. It's your little acorns. I mean, you've got to remember, Marks and Spencer's started with the barra, didn't they? Henry Ford, he started in a barn. Nissans, they started with a hut.
Then the palace get back to us and saying, we understand you want to make eye contact with the royal party. You can't. No one's allowed to make contact during the performance. At the bow, yes, of course you can, but not before. So we thought, well, that's the gag blown. We can't not look at them. Anyway, we eventually got permission.
What you mean you can't look at them? Like, at all? Like, huh? What they mean by that one? You just can't, like, talk about them in the skit, or you can't...
We can't not look at them. Anyway, we eventually got permission to do that.
The whole thing is an excuse for that moment where first Rodney spots who's in the raw box, and then Del Boy does. I mean, that's priceless.
Chunky Goldenberry, come on.
Sitting in the box to your right.
Well, he's sitting in the box. Is that you, Chunky?
Yeah, very brave.
The upper box.
No. It is.
The Royal Variety Show, having done it myself.
That's so good. Oh my God.
It's one of the toughest gigs to crack.
but the way they kind of respected the royalty by awkwardly bowing and walking backwards, that piece of physical comedy is very funny.
All right, just pick up the gear, it's all right. Pick it up, Ronnie, move out. Slowly, no one will be any the wiser.
Very few could get away with addressing the box. They were in character. It was very respectful, very dignified. That's always the key.
I mean, we don't want the papers getting hold of this, do we, eh?
Ah, we'd look right dipsticks, wouldn't we?
I don't mean that. I mean, what's Her Majesty doing in Delaney's club?
We had to go back from the Theatre Royal back to Salisbury to start work at 6 o'clock the next morning. So we didn't really get much of a chance to meet anyone or see anyone or have a drink with anyone.
Dale, Rodney and Uncle Albert onto a nice little area.
So Dave and I, we were so relieved. We made the car stop at a little midnight shop on the Brompton Road, driving back, and we bought a bottle of whiskey. And I'm here to tell you that we did it between London and Salisbury, just out of sheer relief.
Only Fools and Horses is the nation's favourite comedy.
And the winner of the title of Britain's best sitcom is
Only Fools and Horses!
But, as Del himself said of other success stories, from Little Acorns...
We'd shot Series 1 and the entire nation had just gone, so what? And then we started doing Series 2 and the nation did much the same again.
Come on, let's call it a day.
Normal sitcoms were getting tens of millions, and we weren't getting anything like it.
We're off and running.
Never entered the job or the show or the series to win awards. We all entered the show because it made us laugh when we read the scripts, and because we all loved it, and we all loved what we were doing. That started to shine through.
What a plonker! What a plonker!
None of us ever realised that we were going to become quite the success and the national institution that we became.
Am I brilliant or am I brilliant?
It's not why we did it, but we're all very delighted that we did.
We got some off-price crack.
Oh, I freaking love this show, man. That's all we got. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D Neil, out. Oh my ear!